What's up, house groups? This week we finished the Ecclesia series where we walked through the story of the earliest days of the church in the first 9 chapters of the book of Acts. And I don't know about all of you, I had a lot of fun digging into Acts, so we will probably pick it back up in chapter 10 at some point before too long. But we finished the series with kind of a cool moment. Peter had been the spark in the earliest days of the church that kind of caused the movement to explode. But as it had been expanding from Jerusalem to Judea to Samaria to the ends of the earth, he had just been in Jerusalem alongside the rest of the apostles, not doing nothing for what it's worth. There was a lot of work. They were busy, they were leading, and they were helping people grow in faith, and there was a ton of stuff to be done. But while they did that, they weren't really moving the movement forward toward Jesus' ends of the earth vision. And then after about 4 or 5 years in Jerusalem, we read that Peter headed out on mission and began almost immediately crashing into people who had needs he was uniquely equipped to meet. He healed a paralytic guy and then saw tons of people come to faith in Jesus because of the miracle they'd just witnessed. And then he went to Joppa to try to raise an old lady named Dorcas from the dead, which is a wild thing to do. Even to think like, okay, I'll try that. Because like nobody other than Jesus had ever pulled off raising someone from the dead before. So I think it was dangerous for Peter to do that in a couple of different ways. Number one, traveling around and doing miracles that brought attention to himself and brought attention to Jesus was like political and religious kamikaze mission. It was super dangerous because the leaders in Jerusalem wanted to kill anybody who was pointing people toward Jesus. And so unequivocally, by going out and doing this stuff, he was risking his life for the sake of the gospel. And then the second thing that was dangerous about it is like if he failed, and there's a good chance he would fail, he'd never done this before, it was risky because people would be mad at him, they'd be disappointed in him, they might even decide they didn't want to follow his leadership anymore. But Peter humbly stepped in to try to save a woman whose claim to fame was that she knit underwear for widows. But apparently she was so awesome, the church decided they couldn't go on without her. And so Peter just trusted God and humbly came and said, okay, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna pray. And he ended up raising her from the dead in the same way Jesus had raised a little girl from the dead many years earlier. Dorcas' Hebrew name was Tabitha, and Peter took her by the hand and said, Tabitha cum, which means Tabitha, get up, just like Jesus had said, Talitha cum, little girl, get up. And as he narrated the story of Jesus to John Mark decades later, which we have recorded as the Gospel of Mark, he made sure that those 2 words, Talitha cum, just those 2 in the entire book of Mark, were left in Aramaic. And I think it's because he looked back at that moment at Dorcas' bedside and realized he was never more like Jesus than he was right then, when he was self-sacrificially leveraging his gifting and his life for the sake of someone else. You guys, we are never more like Jesus than when we're giving our lives away. Never. But there's always a cost to that. Most of us aren't going to have to pay the same cost as Peter. We don't have to risk our lives to self-sacrificially point people toward Jesus, but we do have to sacrifice our time and our money and our gifting and sometimes our popularity or our reputations and more. There's always a cost, but that's how the mission moves forward. God's plan to reach the lost and hurting people we crash into every day with his love is us. It's you and me walking in the footsteps of Jesus and giving our lives away for the sake of others. So the only question is, will we do it? Will you?